I always said if the porch light was on when I pulled into the driveway, life was still good. That's the thing about rituals. They trick you into thinking the world has rules. That if you put the mug in the same cabinet, kiss her on the forehead every morning, or mow the lawn in diagonals, maybe, just maybe, things stay solid, predictable, real. But that night, the light wasn't on. And yet, everything else looked fine. Her car was there. The house was dark, sure, but not the kind of dark that screams emergency. Just the quiet kind. The kind that doesn't know yet it's supposed to be louder. I parked the truck, shut the engine off, and sat for a second. My dog, Scout, let out a soft whine from the back seat, as if he could already smell the shift in the air. He always could. Better than me, that's for sure. I stepped out and looked up at the porch. No flicker. No warm welcome. Just a stillness that was a little too clean. Too untouched. Inside, the silence was surgical. Even the grandfather clock was laid on a chime, like it didn't want to interrupt. Scout patted in beside me and stopped at the foot of the stairs. Didn't move. Didn't wag. Just stared. Something was off. I just didn't know yet how far off it would go. And that's where the story begins, not with screams or sirens, but with a quiet house, a cold porch, and a man who hadn't yet realized that his life had already packed up and left out. I noticed it first in the kitchen. The steak was still in the freezer. Now, that might not sound like much, but it was Thursday steak night. A little tradition born from the days when we couldn't afford it. So we made it special. Always the same. Thaw it in the morning, grill it at 7, eat it with a bottle of that red she always insisted was just okay, until she'd had 2 glasses. But the steak was still there. Solid as betrayal. I opened the fridge. No wine either. Not even the just okay one. Scout sat near the pantry and let out a low grunt. The kind that wasn't quite a growl but definitely wasn't approval. He didn't like when things didn't line up. Neither did I. I walked to the living room. Everything looked staged. Not clean. Not messy. Just presentable. As if someone had straightened the cushions in case of witnesses. Her slippers were next to the couch. Turned out like feet had just slipped out of the midlaff. But she wasn't home. Not yet. Not late enough to call the cops. Just late enough to call it strange. I checked my phone. No texts. No missed calls. And the message I'd sent her earlier, need anything from the store, was still marked as unread. Now, this was a woman who once texted me back from a moving canoe in the middle of a lake. Something had cracked. I didn't know it yet, not fully, but some part of me already had an idea. The same part that didn't go looking upstairs right away. The same part that sat down on the couch like it was waiting for a punch. Scout jumped up beside me, head on my lap. His eyes met mine. He already knew. I wasn't planning to go upstairs. I really wasn't. But the silence was getting too loud downstairs, and curiosity has a way of turning into confrontation if you let it sit long enough. I climbed the stairs slowly. Scout didn't follow this time. He stayed on the couch like he knew this was a solo mission. Smart dog. At the top of the stairs, I paused by the bedroom. Lights off. Door ajar. And that feeling, that horrible, unmistakable feeling, like standing in the hallway of a stranger's home you built with your own hands. I didn't go in. Instead, I turned left into the laundry room. And there it was. A shirt I'd never seen before, men's, slung over the edge of the hamper like it had been thrown in a hurry and missed. Expensive. Slim fit. Still warm with sweat that wasn't mine. And right then, I knew. There's a kind of knowing that doesn't wait for explanation. Doesn't need details. The mind goes full detective while the heart just goes quiet. I walked back to the bedroom. Flicked on the light. Sheets wrinkled in a way I didn't leave them. A dent in the pillow next to hers. Slight. Subtle. But not mine. Then I saw it. A receipt on the nightstand. One of those little boutique hotels 2 towns over. Room 212. A bottle of wine and 2 glasses. Charged to her card. Her signature at the bottom like a confession. And still, a small voice inside me tried to deny it. Maybe she met a friend. Maybe it's not what it looks like. But that voice got real quiet when I turned and saw her phone. Unlocked. Open to messages. And one thread pinned to the top. Can't wait to see you again. Last night was, wow. Your husband's clueless. Hugs and kisses. My stomach dropped. But I didn't throw the phone. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I just picked up Scout's leash from the hook by the door. And walked out. I didn't leave like a man in a movie. No thunderstorm. No suitcase flung into the back of a pickup. No dramatic last words echoing down a hallway. I just left. Scout in the passenger seat. staring out the window like he'd seen this coming all along. I drove with one hand on the wheel and the other resting on his head. Didn't know where I was going, but I knew exactly what I was leaving. The funny part? She didn't even call. Not once. Not that night. Not the next morning. Like she knew the jig was up and figured silence would sting more than an apology. And you know what? She wasn't wrong. I didn't pack a thing. Just took Scout, my wallet, the old thermos she never liked, and the truck we used to call the money pit. Thing rattled like it had bones, but it always ran when I needed it. I spent the first night at a rest stop 3 counties over. Scout curled up beside me in the back seat, snoring like betrayal didn't matter. And maybe to him, it didn't. Maybe that was the point. The next day, I started driving further. No music. Just the road, a man, his dog, and that weird sense of freedom that only comes after losing everything that made you stay. I stopped checking my phone after day 2. Whatever she had to say wasn't going to make anything better. That's when I decided to do something with the pain. Not bury it. Not drown it in whiskey or cheap motel sheets. But shape it. Turn it into something I could live with. That's when I made the page. A simple blog. No name. No pictures. Just stories. Thoughts. Lessons learned too late. And one line at the top, in bold. My most loyal friend. Did not betray. Did not lie. Did not leave. Scout's picture was the banner. That blog? It blew up faster than her alibi. There's a strange peace in vanishing. Not the kind that comes with tropical beaches and pina coladas. I mean real vanishing. The kind where no one knows where you are, and the only person who shares your zip code is a loyal mutt with one ear that never quite stands up straight. I called the blog Porchlight off. First post. Raw. Short. No names. Just the facts dressed in dry wit and the kind of restraint that makes people lean in closer. She had the key to my house and the code to my heart. Turns out, she also had room 212. But hey, the dog's still here. Scout was curled up next to me as I hit publish. His eyes said everything mine couldn't. Trust, unshaken. Loyalty, unearned but given anyway. I didn't expect it to go viral. But apparently, pain dressed in sarcasm speaks fluent internet. Tens of thousands read it the first week. The comments section turned into group therapy for the betrayed, the heartbroken, and the just plain tired. Every message was a variation on the same theme. You said what I couldn't say. And through it all, I didn't mention her name. Not once. I didn't need to. She knew it was her. She also knew I wasn't coming back. Somewhere around the 3rd week, my phone lit up for the first time since I left. Unknown caller. I let it ring. Then the text came through. We need to talk. I stared at the screen for a long while, then turned it face down and fed Scout some beef jerky. Conversation wasn't on the menu. See, here's the thing people don't get about betrayal. It's not just the act. It's the surgery without anesthesia. It's the fact that someone looked at your loyalty like it was disposable. Like your trust was just a useful idiot in their personal circus. But I wasn't about to play the victim. That wasn't my style. So I kept writing. Not about her. About me. About how to rebuild a life with nothing but a truck, a dog, and a shattered compass. About how to measure progress in gas station coffee and nights without crying. And I watched her crumble from a distance. My buddy, Marcus, the only person I'd told where I was, sent me the updates. She'd gone full PR damage control after the blog blew up. Claimed she was the real victim. Accused me of abandoning her, of emotional neglect, of everything short of tax fraud. It might have worked if I hadn't documented it all. I had receipts. Literally. Hotel stubs, text threads, the digital breadcrumbs of deception. I didn't release them, not yet. But I stored them, like a storm brewing quietly offshore. And then came the sponsors. Apparently, pain with a punchline sells. People were offering at deals, book deals, interviews. I turned most of them down. All but one. A mid-sized publishing house asked if I'd be willing to turn my post into a book. A memoir of sorts. Raw honesty, a bit of humor, and a dog that never flinched. The working title? Porchlight Off. How my wife lit the way to her affair, and my dog showed me the exit. They loved it. And that's when I knew I didn't just have a story. I had a platform. Now, I didn't plan on revenge. Not at first. But it turns out, when you leave someone quietly, with dignity, and don't burn the house down, they start to worry about the matches you're still holding. She kept texting. Emails followed. Then a message through my sister. Tell him he's being cruel. I'm hurting too. I laughed out loud at that one. Hurting? That's rich. I wanted to reply, but what do you say to someone who set your house on fire and then cries because they got warm? No, I was done speaking to her. But I wasn't done speaking. In my next blog post, I addressed forgiveness, the myth of closure, the societal pressure to hug the person who stabbed you and thank them for the lesson. Closure is a sales pitch. Sometimes the chapter ends with the knife still in your back, and that's okay. You don't have to pull it out to move on. You just have to stop letting them twist it. It became the most shared post I'd written, and with it came something better than revenge, respect. From strangers. From other men who'd been told to man up and get over it. From women who said, finally, a man who tells the truth without blaming everyone else. I wasn't a hero. I was just honest. But honesty, it seems, is in short supply. Now, about that revenge. I didn't go full scorched earth. No threats. No public humiliation. Just one little moment. One perfect, tactical moment. Her birthday. I sent a box. No note. No return address. Inside was a single framed photo. Scout, sitting beside me on the front porch of a cabin in the mountains, the light above us glowing warm and golden. At the bottom of the frame was a plaque. My most loyal friend. Did not betray. Did not lie. Did not leave. And just like that, I blew out the last candle of whatever twisted cake she tried to bake from our ashes. It's a funny thing. Going viral for heartbreak. You lose a marriage and somehow gain an audience. I started getting emails from journalists. One wanted to do a feature titled The Dog Who Stayed, Lessons in Loyalty. Another pitched a podcast episode called Porch Light Off, but the man's still glowing. I didn't want to glow. I wanted peace. But the thing about peace is it's never quiet for long when your ex is panicking. By now, she knew the blog was about her. I hadn't said her name. Didn't need to. Anyone in our small town with an ounce of common sense could connect the dots. And she hated that. Not because I embarrassed her. Because I didn't need her anymore. One morning, Marcus sent me a screenshot of a post she made. A long, syrupy essay on social media filled with all the greatest hits, self-discovery, misunderstood intentions, and my personal favorite, emotional absence in the marriage. She made it sound like I was some ghost she lived with. A silent partner in my own home. And then came the line that almost made me spill my coffee. Sometimes, women cheat not because they're bad, but because they're invisible. Invisible. That's rich, considering I was the one who planned every birthday, remembered anniversaries, bought flowers on Wednesdays just to watch her smile. Invisible? Lady, I was the Wi-Fi. You only noticed me when I stopped working. I didn't respond publicly. Didn't post a rebuttal. No cryptic tweets. No clapback blog. Instead, I let her hang herself with the same rope she tried to lasso sympathy with. Because here's the thing about liars. When they're trying to rewrite history, they talk too much. And somewhere around week 6 of Porch Light Off, people started doing their own detective work. A woman messaged me from 2 towns over. Said her cousin worked at the boutique hotel where room 212 lived in infamy. The staff remembered her. Apparently, my ex-wife in training, had been a regular. With different men. Different cars. Same routine. I thanked the woman and left it alone. I wasn't collecting ammo anymore. I was already winning without firing a shot. And the best part? I never mentioned her name once. But her new boyfriend, the room 212 Romeo, wasn't so lucky. Turns out, his wife found my blog. It didn't take long before he was the one dragging a suitcase across a front lawn, trying to explain how it didn't mean anything. Yes, loyalty is contagious after all. Once it leaves you, it starts haunting everyone else in the chain. Back on my end, things were getting surreal. A literary agent reached out. Said the blog had a rhythm, a bite, and a backbone. Wanted to shop the manuscript. Said there was a market for emotional resilience with a canine twist. Honestly, I just wanted people to read something that made them feel less alone. But hey, if a book helps, a book helps. I started writing more seriously. Early mornings. Scout on the porch. Coffee that tasted better than anything I'd had during my marriage. Funny how bitterness has a way of sharpening your taste buds. The publisher approved the title. Porch Light Off. How a dog saved me from the human I couldn't save. I sent in the manuscript. Meanwhile, she kept slipping. Marcus called one evening. You should see her post today. No thanks. She's saying you cheated first. That you left her no choice. I laughed. The kind of laugh that doesn't feel good. The kind that sounds like a man checking his pulse after a heart attack. Yep. Still broken. She's spiraling, Marcus said. Her lawyer tried to call me. Wanted to know if I had your contact info. I didn't answer. Just scratched Scout behind the ears and said, She must really miss the guy who used to refill her gas tank and apologize for existing. But here's where things got interesting. Remember the box I sent her on her birthday? She posted a picture of it on her private account. Thought she was being cryptic. Captioned it, "The dog was always better than the man." One of her old friends commented, "Funny, I always thought the man was better than the woman." The comment got likes. Lots of them. She deleted it after an hour and blocked the friend. I didn't gloat. Didn't feel vindicated. What I felt was tired. Because when you've been cheated on, it's not just about being replaced. It's about the realization that someone looked at everything you were, every effort, every quiet sacrifice, and decided it wasn't enough. So no, I wasn't cheering from the sidelines. I was just watching a house collapse from the hill I'd built out of rubble. Then came the radio interview. A small station. Nothing fancy. Just a local host who'd followed the blog and wanted to ask about healing. Dogs. And the weird popularity of dignified heartbreak. Halfway through the segment, she asked, "If she called you tomorrow, begged, what would you say?" I didn't even pause. "I'd say thank you." The host blinked. "Thank you." "Yeah, because she helped me find something I didn't know I had." "What's that?" "Self-respect." There was a long pause. And then I added, "Also, I'd remind her that Scout still sleeps at the foot of the bed. Every night. Never left. Never lied. And he doesn't talk back." The line got quoted. Clipped. Shared everywhere. A week later, it was the opening line of a review in The Atlantic. And that's when the publisher called. The book had pre-sold over 60,000 copies. I didn't toast to that. I just sat on the porch with Scout, watched the sunset, and said, "Well, buddy, looks like the porch light's staying off." He wagged his tail. Because of course he did. She showed up on a Tuesday. I was back in town. Book tour was coming up. Had to pick up some documents, meet with the publisher, let Scout stretch his legs someplace other than Pine Needle parking lots. When I pulled into the old driveway, not mine anymore, just familiar, she was sitting on the porch steps. The same porch where I'd watched summer storms roll in, where we carved pumpkins, where she once told me she wanted to grow old with me. Now she looked like someone who had aged a decade in 6 months. Scout didn't bark, just sat next to me, ears perked, sensing what I didn't yet. She stood when I stepped out. "You're back," she said. "No, just passing through. I read your blog," she added, voice trembling like it had something important to say, but forgot the words halfway down. I nodded. "Most people have." "I didn't know it'd go so far," she said. That one got a chuckle out of me. "Yeah, well, I didn't know marriage vows were optional." She winced. "Look," she said, walking closer. "I didn't come to fight. I came to say I'm sorry." "No, you didn't," I replied. "You came because you lost control of the story. And now it's mine." She looked like she'd been slapped. "I never meant to hurt you like that." "I believe you," I said. "That's what makes it worse." She opened her mouth, closed it, then whispered, "Do you think we could ever talk again? I mean, not about this. Just talk." I looked at her. Really looked. The woman who once knew how I liked my coffee. The woman who danced barefoot in our kitchen on Sunday mornings. The woman who, one night in June, had chosen a cheap hotel room over everything we built. And I said, with all the calm in the world, "I do talk. Every day. Just not to you." And with that, I turned and walked away. Scout followed, loyal as ever. I drove for hours that day. Through hills that used to be our weekend escapes. Past diners we once stopped at when the world felt safe. None of it stung anymore. Not because I'd forgotten, but because I'd outlived the pain. It's wild, the things you gain when you lose someone who was never really with you to begin with. I didn't just get freedom. I got clarity. I started sleeping better, smiling more. I took long walks without wondering if someone was lying back home. The book came out a week later. It hit the bestseller list in 3. I got messages from men, from women, from people who'd been through worse, from people who just wanted to say, "Thank you for saying what I couldn't." And through it all, Scout stayed next to me, graying around the snout now, still quick with a tail thump if I said the word walk. We traveled. We healed. We lived. And every blog post ended the same way. My most loyal friend. Did not betray. Did not lie. Did not leave. Now, I told you this wasn't a sob story. And it's not. But it is a story about justice. See, a few months after the book blew up, I got a tip. A journalist, sharp guy, reached out and said, "Hey, thought you should know. That guy, the one from room 212, he's under investigation. Company scandal. Expense abuse. travel reimbursements, all those hotel rooms, paid for by his employer. Well, what do you know? Long story short, my ex's boyfriend got fired. Publicly, messily, and not long after that, her firm quietly parted ways with her too. They called it mutual. Apparently, not everyone likes having a viral affair attached to their top-tier lawyer's resume. I didn't have to lift a finger. The world did it for me. I didn't gloat, didn't celebrate, but I did pour a whiskey that night. Scout got a fresh steak. We clinked, glass to bowl. To justice, I said. He wagged his tail. So here we are. Years later. Still no porch light. I bought a little place by the woods. Nothing big. Just enough. The kind of quiet that doesn't ache. The kind of silence that feels earned. I still write. Not about her. Not anymore. Now it's about healing. About dogs. About how to build a new life when your old one burns down. Sometimes people ask if I ever loved her. I say yes. Of course I did. But love isn't a leash. It's not a reason to stay in a house full of smoke just because you lit the candle. People also ask if I ever want to date again. Maybe. One day. But if I do, they're going to have to pass one test first. Scout has to like them. Because when everything else fell apart, he stayed. No questions. No judgment. Just a tail wag, a warm body, and eyes that said, whatever happens next, I'm with you. And I've never trusted anyone more. So if this story has a moral, it's this. You don't need to burn bridges. Just walk far enough until they can't follow. And when you're finally free, truly free, don't waste your time waiting for closure. Go find a trail. Bring your dog. Leave the porch light off. You've already made it home.